Hi! I got my hair done. I'm so excited. Enough of that weird, faded, peachy pink thing. I've gone back to sort of reddy orange for a while, and it's currently very springy because I just had it done yesterday. So I was recently featured in Jo's video at Joannotations. She did a whole video about refreshing her Instagram feed, and it was really cool. I love seeing people's sort of creative processes, and hers was all about how she wants to try and find a new sort of theme for her Instagram feed. So she was going through some of her favourite feeds and taking bits of what she liked of them to see if she could then sort of combine them all into like a new theme for herself, and it was really cool. But yeah, one of the people that she featured in her video was me. Amazing, thank you, Jo. I'm honoured. But yeah, she was talking about how she likes the sort of rainbow theme on mine, and that she said she hasn't seen it very often, and I think this is one of the reasons why I like my rainbow Instagram feed as well, is that I haven't seen that many people doing like a super bright, colourful rainbow feed. If you have one, please let me know, because I want to inject more rainbow into my feed. So on Jo's video, there were a couple of people in the comments saying that they love the rainbow sort of look, and someone was saying that they were kind of like asking how I edit my pictures, and I was trying to give a brief explanation in the comments about how I take and edit my pictures. So I thought I would make a whole video about it. If people are interested, like if I've had a couple of people asking me already, I thought there could be a couple of people interested in how I do my sort of bright rainbow Instagram feed. So yeah, in this video I'm going to talk about how I take my pictures, how I edit them, what I use to edit them, and then sort of where I get some of my inspiration from as well for my pictures. When you're taking loads of pictures, especially if you want to try and post every day, it can be really easy to just lose sort of motivation or inspiration with it. So I have my phone with Instagram open. I'm recording my screen, so next to me here I'll show you my Instagram feed. In case you haven't seen it, you can get an idea of what it looks like. As you can see, it's all very colourful and rainbow. I try not to do the same backgrounds too much. I like to sort of vary how the picture looks, but I just try and make it as colourful as possible every time I take a picture. You can see with some things where I've got reels and things, I tend to just make like a rainbow cover for them, just using a background. I think one good thing about me having bright hair, as you can see here, is that it kind of adds to the theme, which is great. Yeah, so I've been doing this for a little while. If I keep scrolling, you can see that for a while I've been going for the rainbow thing, and around here is where it started. You could see I was kind of starting to inject as much colour as possible, and it's pretty much from here onwards. Like, when was this? This was July 2020, so it's been like a decent amount of time now that I've been doing this rainbow theme, and I'm very happy with it. It's like the one that I've been able to stick to most, and I've got my rainbow colour like you can see here, I've got my like rainbow bookshelves as well, so that also helps with the rainbow theme. And yeah, I really enjoy just experimenting with pictures and seeing how colourful I can get them. And sometimes I'll edit little kind of rainbows into the background. So like this, you can see I edited like the lesbian flag into the background of the image. And I just love experimenting. I think that's the thing that you can kind of get from this. Just experiment with it. Like, experimenting with it is the best thing to do. A quick look at how I get inspiration. I'll quickly show you my saved images. So I've got a bunch of stuff saved, tattoos and journaling and things, but I've got a folder called inspiration, and I've got a few in here. I need to add more to it, but I've kind of got, you can see I've got a few images here from various accounts. So I saved this as inspiration because I love the background, because I already use books in the background of my images. If I go back to my feed, I can show you, like here for example, I create like a rainbow effect with books in the background of my images. So yeah, this is where I saved Amy's post, because it's similar to what I do, but just the books are in a different shape, and I think it just adds some interest to it. I love this this is so cool. I don't include myself in my pictures very often, and I feel like it's something that people tend to like when people post pictures of themselves. Like I even noticed, like when I post a picture, I tend to only post a picture of myself when I get my hair done and I'm just like, new hair, and that always does well for some reason. I don't know why pictures of people's faces tend to do well, or just people in general, so I love this one. So yeah, this is how I get my inspiration really. I just go through, when I see a picture that I love, I will just save it on Instagram. I'll just kind of save it in like a inspiration like folder in my saves, and then if I need some ideas I can just go in there, look at them, and just kind of get some ideas from them. I think one good thing you could do as well, if we're also talking about growing your account, is if you do take a picture based on someone else's, like inspired by someone else's look that they've done, tag them. You could just, in the caption, just say like, this picture was inspired by this person, or thanks to this person for inspiring this picture, you know, something like that. And then you're also kind of tagging other people and they will look at your posts then. I think it's a good way of just interacting with people and showing that you're kind of inspired by them. I think if someone tagged me in their caption, they said like, this picture was inspired by me, I'd love that. It would make my day. Like, I think that would be really cool. So yeah, that's something that you could do if you do sort of take inspiration from someone else. So next I'm going to show you how I take my pictures, so how I make my book background, some of the other props and things that I've got that I like to use. So come with me to my office and I'll show you how I take some pictures. Okay, welcome to the corner of my office. This is kind of where all my bookshelves are. This is where, behind me, I have my book cart. I'm gonna adjust this a bit, hang on. Behind me I have my book cart and it's got my TBR on the top. Half my TBR isn't there because I've just used it in another video I've just filmed. But I have all of my props as well, my Instagram props. The biggest one that I use for backgrounds, if I'm not using like a book background, I'll use this. And this is my LGBT flag. It's very big. It's huge. And this is what I sometimes use for the background of my pictures. So I will just like lay the flag out on the floor, and then it's great for flat lays in particular if I want like a nice background, especially if I've got a lot of books or something to fit in it. So you can see all of the colours of the flag, because obviously it is very big. One book only fills pretty much one colour on the flag, so I like to use this particularly if I have like a lot of books, or if I can take it from higher up and you can see more of the colours in it. Sometimes I'll also just kind of bunch it up a bit, like behind some books, like just as a bit of a background thing. Yeah, I don't know, I use it in different ways, but yeah, this is my biggest prop that I have. So next in my list of rainbow props, I have this rainbow cushion, which is actually becoming like one of my favourite things, and also one of the best things I bought in terms of like using it in pictures. So great. If I want to take a picture, but maybe the book isn't very colourful or the background isn't very colourful, like sometimes I'll just be sitting on my sofa and I just think, I'm holding a book and I think, oh, this would be a nice picture, just kind of with my legs in it and holding a book. But it's, my sofa's like green and my clothes are usually like black or something, so it's not very colourful. This is a godsend. You can literally just shove it in the background of a picture and it adds an instant rainbow to your picture. Amazing. So yeah, I'll sometimes use this if I'm doing, again, if I'm doing like a flat lay, maybe I don't want the flag in the background, but I will just kind of put this in the picture and put my books around it or on top of it or kind of lean against it. It's quite a chunky cushion, so you can lean things against it quite easily. So many different things you can do just with a rainbow cushion. I love it. So great, so versatile, because it's just like small. You can just chuck it around wherever you need it. So it's super easy. If I need to take a quick picture, I can just shove this in the background and you've got an instant rainbow. Another rainbow, I have lots of rainbows, is this thing that I've had so many compliments on. People keep asking me if I've made it, which I absolutely haven't because I wouldn't know where to start. My friend Jolie got me this from Etsy for my birthday or Christmas, and it's like, yeah, it's like a crochet rainbow, and it's got these strings that hang down, and it's also got something so you can hang it if you want, but I tend to just like keep it on my cart and use it as a prop in my pictures. Love this so much, and again, super easy prop to use if you want to make everything super colourful and rainbow, because you can just, again, lay it in the background or something. You can kind of, I'll lay it on the floor and put a book next to it. If you look at my feed, you will see how I've used all of these props, and you'll see this one crop up a lot. Because it's flat as well, you can just lay it flat on the floor and a book can just kind of sit on top of it or sort of like next to it. And it looks great. It just like adds such a really quick, easy, colourful pop into the picture. I'll sometimes even just use the stringy bit at the end. If you can't see the rainbow, I'll sometimes, if I just grab a book, sometimes I'll have it like this. Someone's at the door, hang on. Hi, sorry. The postman just came. Made me jump a flipping mile. Yeah, so if I've got this, kind of lying flat on the floor with the strings sort of outwards, I can put a book covering the rainbow, and it looks really cool to have the strings kind of hanging out the book. Yeah, I've done that sometimes as well. Again, if you go on my feed, you'll see where I've done that. I think I maybe did it for the Henna Wars. Some other things that aren't particularly rainbow but I just love to use. I have this stick of cherry blossom. Again, so great to use in pictures because it's just like a nice pop of colour, and you can just kind of lay it around some books. I've got random bits. I've got like a hat. I've got a packet of leaves, like little leaves, and I tend to use these around autumn a lot. In my bedroom I've got like little crochet pumpkins, and I'll use those at autumn. Oh, up here I've also got like little, I've got 4 of these. They're just like little wooden stars, and I use these a lot because they're really cool just to add a bit of interest into flat lays and things. I have these which you'll see me using quite a lot. It's a jar of like, let me show you one. They're just like little origami stars. It's not going to focus on it, is it? They're just little cute origami stars, and I've got them in a few different colours. I spent ages, like a couple of years ago now, making a bunch of these, and I've just got them in a jar. Sometimes I'll use the jar, like the jar itself makes a cute prop, but yeah, I'll scatter these stars around the background of a picture, and I love doing that. I think that's everything. I love finding props to use. Like, you can see here, I've got so many rainbow props, because it's just so fun to do. Like, just seeing all of the rainbow colours just makes me so happy. So the final thing I'm gonna do is show you how I make the like book sort of background for my images. You'll see in some of my pictures there's like, I make a sort of background out of books. It's super easy, but it also requires a lot of tidying up afterwards. You basically just get books of loads of different colours, however many colours you want. I tend to just try and get books of every colour that I have on my shelf and just lay them in a big square on the floor. And I tend to get hardbacks. I've got quite a few hardbacks. I'll get like some chunky hardbacks and put them on the ends of the rows, and that I kind of push them together, and that helps all the rows not like fall over, because otherwise paperbacks obviously don't stand up very well on their own. Putting some hardbacks on the ends of the rows will help those rows not fall over. But then I just don't include those hardbacks like in the picture. I just have the rainbow books in the picture, just like kind of crop it so the hardbacks don't show. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I tend to do like a square, so I'll do like 3 rows of books and make it into a sort of a big square shape, so I've got a decent size background to use, and then I will just lay things on top of those books then and just use it as a background for photos. So one thing that I also do is I will get smaller books. So for example, the Series of Unfortunate Events books are very small. They're like smaller than most of my books that I have. I will sometimes get some of those and lay them underneath the books that I'm going to be putting on top of these, like this book background, and it raises them slightly from the background, and it's kind of really useful. Like, it looks better, I think, in the picture where the book that you're using as the main focus isn't flush with the background. It's kind of risen slightly. Yeah, it's hard to explain. You can see me doing it here. I use these books to slightly raise the subject book a little bit higher off the background, and when you actually take the picture then, it emphasises that book that's the actual subject of the picture. It's just very simple to do. It just requires a lot of cleanup afterwards because you need to put all the books back on your shelf. This is where it's useful with me having rainbow coordinated bookshelves, because I can literally just take books off in a chunk, put them on the floor, and then when it comes to putting them away, I can just pick them up in a chunk and put them back on the shelf where they came from. So much easier than having to try and like reorganise your shelves every single time you take pictures. So yeah, I think that's everything really that I wanted to show you in here. So let's head back and I will quickly talk about how I edit my pictures. Okay, now that we've done that, I am going to show you how I edit. So I like to use Snapseed. I know people like to use Visco a lot of the time. I know people use Photoshop or Lightroom if you want to use something that's paid, but I like to use Snapseed, which is free. You can just download it from the App Store. If I shuffle over a bit again so you can see my screen, and I'll start recording. So this is Snapseed. You just tap to open a picture. You're getting a little sneak peek at my camera roll here. I'm going to use this one because, as you can see, the books in the background are quite dark and some of the colours don't really pop very much, and then the whites, like the white wall in the background, isn't particularly white. So yeah, I'm going to show you how I edit it. Along the bottom here you've got filters and things just like Instagram and Visco, but I never use those. I just go straight to the tools tab. So the first thing I do is come into tune image, and you can kind of scroll through all of the different things here. It's very much like Instagram, like the Instagram editor here, where you've got all of these different options. So the first one I usually go to is ambience, and I turn that up, and as you can see, it kind of like levels out the image. Like, it takes some of the dark sections and makes them a bit lighter, and it kind of just evens out the image a bit. So I kind of just drag it up until I like it. The next thing I tend to do is maybe turn the saturation up a bit. It depends. So sometimes if you turn the saturation up here, obviously it's going to turn it up on the entire image, but there's times when I don't want to turn it up on the whole image. I only want to kind of turn it up on certain bits. So I'm going to show you in a minute how you do that with the brush, because you can see here, if I turn the saturation up, can you see that Pixar box? The red just goes wild. Like, it's out of anything. The red is the thing that's changing more than anything. So on this, I would probably leave it without anything, because that Pixar box, maybe I'll turn it up a bit, but I don't want it too much because that Pixar box just goes neon, and I don't want that. I still want them to look natural. I don't want them to be like ridiculously bright. I don't want the colours just to be like unnaturally bright. So I think here that's pretty much all I'm gonna do. The other things, there's brightness. I mean, here I could actually turn up the brightness a little bit. You've got contrast, which I don't tend to use very much, to be honest. Saturation, which I just showed you, that kind of like boosts the colours. The highlights, the highlights I also use actually. I'm going to turn that up a little bit. This is where we start to get the whites looking a bit whiter. And then you've got shadows, and this kind of decreases. If you've got dramatic shadows in your picture and you don't want them, you can turn the shadows up and down. If you go down, it makes the shadows darker. If you go up, it takes those shadows away. And then you've got warmth, and this, as it says on the tin, adds warmth to the image, or you can make it really cold and blue. I don't tend to use this very often. I think sometimes if an image is very, like if I take it in the evening maybe and the sun is starting to go down and you start to get that sort of golden glow on everything, that is when I'll turn the warmth down, so I'll make things a bit bluer just to take that edge off, just to kind of make it not so golden and orange, because that's not the style that I go for. Or alternatively, sometimes if I'm taking them in the morning, or if the natural light is rubbish that day and everything looks a bit washed out, then I'll maybe add a little bit of warmth to make it look like there's more sunlight. But on this one, I don't think it really needs it. Next, I'm gonna come to the brush, and this is one of my favourite tools, and it's pretty much the reason why I love to use Snapseed, because I don't think Visco and things has this feature. I really love this. So what you can do with this is you can literally paint on effects, and it's the best, especially when it comes to me wanting to make certain colours pop. So sometimes, because I like to have a variation in the colours that are in the pictures, I like to make certain colours pop out more than others occasionally. So a lot of the time I don't have a lot of green, for example, in the pictures. So if there's a picture that has a green book or something in it, I will kind of emphasise the green a little bit more, just so in the general feed, the green will stand out a bit. If otherwise the feed doesn't have a lot of green in it, I'll just kind of look at my feed before editing and see if there are any colours that might be lacking, and then I know that when I edit my pictures next, those are the colours that I can kind of pinpoint more and bring them out a bit. So my screen just turned off and my recording stopped, so I'm starting a new one. So the first thing I do is come to, like after I've done the tune image, I will go to the brush. So the first thing I'm going to do is come to saturation, and you can see at the bottom you've got arrows. So you've got the eraser, so you can actually like erase anything you've done if you don't like it. You can go into plus 5 or 10, or you can go down to minus 5 or 10. Obviously the minus takes away saturation, and then the plus numbers add saturation. So with this, I'm going to go to the books in the back, and I'm going to just paint on some saturation where I want it. Like I said, this green, I will usually make it pop a bit more. Yeah, so it's literally just going around and colouring them in, and then you can see already that it's made those colours pop a lot more. So then one thing that I like to do as well sometimes is you've got this eye symbol down here, and with this you can actually see the patches of where you've coloured the saturation, and you can go over and you can fill in any gaps that you don't have. It usually works a lot better than this. It's not filling it in very well. I don't know if it's because I'm recording my screen, so it's kind of, it's acting a bit strange, but yeah, that's generally how it works. So another thing that I will do is go to exposure, and this is what I use to make sure that all the whites in the picture are a lot brighter and crisper. So you can see like over this side here, there's like a lot of dark shadows, especially over the Akemi Dawn Bowman books on the side. They're quite dark because of the cart. There's like a book cart on the side here. It's kind of blocking a lot of the light. So what I will do is I'll use the exposure brush, and I will literally paint where there are shadows. And sometimes I'll do, this is going to be a really rushed job, by the way, because I'm just doing it for the video. It's not going to be perfect. Usually I'll spend a lot longer, I'll be more precise with it, but I will literally just paint over the white parts of the image. So it doesn't matter at this point if you go too far over the books. Like if you actually end up colouring a bit over the books, I'll show you why in a sec. And you can see that wall now looks a lot brighter. I'll maybe come along the front as well and do the table a bit. You get the gist. I'm kind of rushing, but the reason why I said it's okay if you brush over the edges of things that you don't want to go over is that you use this eye symbol again, and here again you can see the red is where I've coloured over using this brush. So I go to the eraser, and then you can kind of zoom in a lot so you can be a lot more precise, and you can literally erase this red part where you don't want any of the exposure brush. This is going to look really bad, by the way, because I'm rushing. But it's just to show you the idea of what you can do and what I do. So you can see there, obviously along the edges of the books it's a mess because I just rushed. Usually I'll be a lot slower and more precise with it, but you can see that it's made the wall and the sort of table a lot brighter. So that's generally what I'll do. And then sometimes I'll maybe use the details one, and this just kind of sharpens the image a bit. It brings out some of the details in the image. Other times I will use the rotate, and one great thing about this, you just saw it then, I'll do it again. It kind of auto rotates to where it thinks it looks good. So sometimes it'll find like a straight line in the image and it'll rotate it so that line is straight. Sometimes it does it and you don't want it to do it, so you can hit undo. Like sometimes if I've got a book that's wonky on purpose, it'll sometimes straighten that book, and I'm like, no, don't do that, I wanted it wonky. But you can see here it just really sort of subtly straightens it. See, I think that's too wonky. I liked it how it was before. So you can kind of come up here and you can hit undo if you want. But that's something you can do. You can crop here and just use the crop tool, as any crop tool does. And then you've also got perspective. There's a feature like this on the Instagram editor as well, where you can like turn it different ways. But one thing that I love to do is the free one. And if you've got something, like sometimes there's a book cover that just looks a bit, it doesn't look perfectly rectangular in the image, it maybe looks a bit wonky depending on like the angle that you took the picture. If you do want it to look like a perfect flat lay where the book is perfectly rectangular, you can come here and you can literally stretch corners of the image. And yeah, just play around with it. Sometimes it can look really bad. Sometimes you just need to kind of get to grips with it, just practice with it. And then finally, the other tool that I tend to use is healing. And with this, I tend to use it sometimes. For example, a real life example is if I take a picture on the floor, there will be like a bit of dirt or something on the floor, or a bit of fluff or something that I didn't see. You can use the healing brush to literally get rid of that in an image. So I mean, this doesn't really have very much in it, but I mean, for example here, if you wanted to get rid of like a scratch on the table, I'll use like this little scratch at the bottom here. You can use the healing brush to literally go over it, and you can like get rid of certain elements in the image. Again, it takes some getting used to, it can look really bad, but sometimes it works really well if you just kind of experiment with using that healing tool just to go over any little imperfections that you want to get rid of. It works really well sometimes. I think that's it. Once you're done, you can come to export and you can hit save, and it will just go through all of the things that you've done and it will save your image to your camera roll. So yeah, that's how I edit. I love editing. I know a lot of people say that editing is the worst part, but I love editing. Like, once I've taken my pictures, I could sit there for ages and edit them. Like, it's my favourite part of doing it, because I just love the sort of process of it. I love experimenting and I love just seeing what I can do with it. I'm the same with videos as well. Editing videos is my favourite part. So yeah, I hope that helps. If you want to go for a sort of colourful rainbow theme, then I hope this has helped. But in general, I hope this just gives you some ideas or some inspiration for what you can do and how you can edit your pictures. Are you going to use any of my tips? What do you use as well? Do you have things that you love to do? Like, what program do you use to edit? And also share your Instagram in the comments, because I'd love to go and follow you. My link to my Instagram will be in the description if you want to follow me. I'd appreciate that a lot. As you can kind of see, I'm putting a lot of effort in at the moment with trying to make my feed look good. So if you want a bit of colour in your feed, then feel free to go and follow me. I hope these tips helped, and I will see you soon for a new video.